I was born here in San Jose. I was born on 4th Street.
I was 90 July the 20th, and I was born in Atlanta, Georgia.
I was born in Detroit, Michigan, to a mother who was on a trip from New Orleans.
Born in Bryan, Texas, I think. I'm not sure.
I was born in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, on the East Coast.
I've been back in California since June. I've been gone for 11 and a half years, from Texas to Arkansas, and it was time to come home.
I do know that there have been some lessons learned that I'd like to pass on. One of them is that I was a strong activist, political activist during the 60s. I was very much identified with the Black Revolution and the re-identifying myself outside of being colored to being black. I mean, I remember that very, very well. But I also experienced over the last decade a period where I have kind of grown into a place, or aged into a place, where I am no longer, where I outlived my rage without losing my passion. And I think that the day I discovered that was an amazing thing, because I had used my rage very well when I was younger. It had taken that anger to get through some very, very difficult years, but I don't need it anymore.
Once you make up your mind, like I did when I was in high school, to take her, I guess you have to keep pestering people until you get what you want. And sometimes you don't get support, but you continue to do what you think you know you should do. And you involve other people. You make things greater for other people. You share. That's one thing you have to do. You have to share. You can't do this all by yourself, and you can't enjoy all this by yourself. And I think that's one of the most important things that I have enjoyed, sharing my art, being with people, sharing with people, and giving of people.
I think the most important thing is for young in school age, I think you should be in school. To school, and if you're not in school, try to get a job somewhere.
It took a lot of people, a lot of family, a lot of friends, for me to have attained 93 years that I now speak proudly about, because they weren't all proud lives. They weren't all proud years. Some of them were troubled, but my survival, I think, depended upon being able to relate to those around me and keeping myself whole enough so that I could do that well.
We were not welcome in Campbell. We were the first family. We moved there because the NAACP asked us not to move on the east side of San Jose. They were making that a ghetto. In fact, similar to what they did to the Mexicans in a certain section of San Jose. So as blacks came into San Jose, they moved all over the area. And this is how I moved to Campbell. My son was about 5 years old, and I think he was to be first grade. I can't quite remember. Anyway, I took him over to the elementary school, and the principal said, "Do you think you're at the right school?" I said, "Yes." I'm sure I am, because I only live several blocks away. She didn't know that there were any blacks around. My daughter was not in school. At school, there were little things. My son would act up naturally, as a boy would. But not many things happened, but he did suffer. One day he came home, he said, "I don't know if I can stand it any longer." And I was very sad about that. What could I do? He was the only child of his race there, and he didn't get much support.
I got a job with the county, and it was a lot of discrimination at that time. And I was working in called the reproduction department of the county, doing printing for the supervisors and what have you. And it was an elderly lady who was in charge of the department, but she became sick. And then there was another girl, she and I was doing the printing. So after the elderly lady quit, they said because this was a civil service job, we had to take a test. So we took a test for the job, and I passed the test, but this other girl, the white girl, didn't. And but I didn't know anything about it. But it so happens that the girl came to me and told me, she said, "You know, Alice, you passed the test, but I didn't. But Bruce is going to redo the test so that she could take it over and pass it." And he did. So, and then I was so angry, because I did have a case there. But I was so angry I quit, and I said, I'm going back to college and get my education.
I went into the 60s as a black nationalist figure. I was on the Black Caucus of the Unitarian Universalist Church, attended several national conferences in that role, so that I became radicalized politically. So that is a lot of rage to have to contend with during a lifetime when you're also bringing up 4 children and going through 2 marriages. I outlived 2 husbands. That was a lot to come up from. So that sometimes in this last decade, I was able to unload all of that. I was able to find myself in a place where I actually had outlived rage that had served me so well during the times when I had needed it so badly.
I think faith primarily is the thing that keeps people younger getting old in the first, because if you have faith in something, you try to do whatever you're taught to do. And that goes for good or bad. For example, in faith you learn that certain things you shouldn't do that are harmful to you. And if you believe that, then you follow it. And if the things that you should do, like helping others and loving one another and giving, sharing what you have with one another, it becomes part of your life, and you have faith that you're doing the right thing.
Help others. If you see someone needing help or anything, extend your, self to someone whoever needs help, and help them. I just came back from Jamaica, and the cooks that cooked for us, saying she has 2 girls. She said they never get nothing for their birthdays. And so when I left, I gave her some money. I said, "This is for your children's birthday. Go and buy them something, and buy them a cake, and give them a little party." I mean, when you see, something or someone who needs help, or the veterans, the blind, I'm always sending something to help people. I would say that's a good thing to do.
I am able to say, finally, I know. I am able to be aware that I'm living in the last decade of my life, and that what I say and do every day counts, and that life and time are very precious.
I would say live life to the fullest. Don't stop. Once you stop, I feel like once I stop, if I sit down and say that's it, that will be it. As long as you keep, I think that I should keep moving, keep doing.
We are interdependent upon one another. That it's our duty to be sure that our lives are whole in order to serve the communities that we must live in for survival. But I don't know how one does that, except being mindful of that interdependence, because no one of us can survive the world alone. My life certainly proves that.